This is the story of Ajike AJ Owens, a 35-year-old mother of four from Ocala, Florida, whose life was cut short in June 2023 after a long-standing neighborhood dispute turned deadly. A single mother, devoted to her children and loved by those around her, AJ's story made national headlines, not only for the heartbreaking loss, but for what it revealed about community tensions, race, and Florida's controversial Stand Your Ground law. Her neighbor, Susan Lorincz, claimed self-defense, but the truth of what happened that evening and the events that led up to it painted a much more complicated picture. AJ Owens was a hardworking mother raising four children in Marion County. Friends and neighbors described her as caring, involved, and always putting her kids first. Her children often played in the shared grassy areas near the home, spaces meant for families, but which became points of friction with one of their neighbors, 58-year-old Susan Louise Lorincz. Lorincz, a white woman living nearby, had a history of conflicts with AJ's children. According to witness statements and police records, she frequently complained about the kids playing near her property. In some cases, neighbors reported that she yelled at them, used racial slurs, and even threw objects, including roller skates, towards the children. What began as minor neighborhood tension slowly escalated into something far more dangerous. On the evening of June 2nd, 2023, the conflict reached its breaking point. A group of AJ's children were playing outside when Lorincz allegedly threw a roller skate at one child and then swung an umbrella at another. The frightened children ran home to tell their mother what had happened. Upset and protective, AJ walked over to Lorintz's house to confront her about the incident. Witnesses say she knocked on the door several times, asking Lorincz to come outside and talk. Behind that locked door, Lorincz called 911, claiming she was being harassed and felt threatened. Moments later, as AJ stood on the porch, unarmed, with one of her children beside her, Lorincz fired a single gunshot through the closed door. The bullet struck AJ in the chest. Her child, standing nearby, witnessed everything. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but AJ Owens was pronounced dead at the hospital soon after.
And now to our big story at 5:30. New video tonight. The Marion County Sheriff's Office has released hours of body cam video showing deputies responding to calls at the home of Susan Lorincz. She is the woman accused of shooting and killing her neighbor last month.
AJ Owens was shot through the door while knocking on Lorintz's door. And as the body camera video shows us, Lorincz was no stranger to calling 911.
And what about her said that she's going to come and drag my and beat me? When I started calling you because she wouldn't get out of my face, she just kept standing in front of me. I don't understand the attitude and stuff. You know, she runs over there. Why do her children have to be over here screaming?
That's just 3 of several calls between February 2022 and April 2023.
It always says no trespassing, and they're always walking the dog's always taking the flat. There's poop on the sidewalk, there's all kinds of stuff. I said, can you please keep the dog over there?
Deputies responded to Susan Lorintz's home several times over the last year and a half. She would call to say her neighbor's children were harassing her and trespassing.
The guys, stop. They know they're not supposed to be over here. They've been told many times. They've previously stole the no trespassing sign. And the kid tells me to shut up to my face. I said, don't be disrespectful to me.
But the children said it was the other way around. Neighbors claim Lorincz was the aggressor, saying their kids were just playing in the neighborhood lot next to Lorintz's house.
I'm not over there harassing her, doing anything. They're playing. Literally, every time the police are over here because she'll be inside, they can be playing.
Over the last year, the feud between the neighbors got worse.
Yes, I would like to press charges. Okay. Because she doesn't need to hear.
And it was last month when deputies say that feud ended with a neighbor being killed.
The woman was screaming and yelling and she was trying to break down my door. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed my gun and I shot at the door.
The sheriff's office says Lorincz shot and killed AJ Owens when Owens went to defend her kids. An arrest report shows Lorincz swung an umbrella at the victim's children and threw a pair of roller skates at them, which is why Owens went to the house. Deputies say Lorincz told them she bought the gun for protection after a previous fight with Owens last year.
His mother comes over here. If you treat my son like that again, I'm going to rip out and go beat you up.
As it stands, 58-year-old Lorincz faces 1 count of manslaughter with a firearm and 1 count of assault. She is still in jail. A judge granted her $155,000 bond last month, so Lorincz needs to come up with about $15,000 to get out of jail.
The shooting sent shockwaves through Ocala and across the nation. Community members gathered to demand justice, marching and calling for Lorintz's arrest. The Marion County Sheriff's Office urged patience, saying they needed to carefully investigate whether Florida's Stand Your Ground law applied, a law that allows the use of deadly force if a person reasonably believes they're in imminent danger. After several days of public outcry, Lorincz was arrested on June 6, 2023. She was charged with first-degree felony manslaughter with a firearm, along with counts of assault, battery, and culpable negligence. The decision not to pursue a murder charge drew criticism from AJ's family and civil rights advocates, who argued that shooting through a locked door at an unarmed mother showed intent and disregard for life. Lorintz's trial began in August 2024 before an all-white, 6-person jury. Prosecutors argued that Lorincz was never in immediate danger. She was inside her home, behind a locked door, and had already contacted law enforcement. They emphasized that AJ Owens posed no threat that justified pulling the trigger. Lorintz's defense team claimed she was terrified, saying she believed Owens was trying to break in. They referenced her anxiety and past trauma as contributing factors to her decision to fire the gun. After deliberation, the jury found Susan Lorincz guilty of first-degree felony manslaughter with a firearm. On November 25, 2024, Judge Robert Hodges sentenced her to 25 years in prison, just shy of the 30-year maximum prosecutors requested. During sentencing, the judge noted that Lorincz had been behind a locked door, knew police were on their way, and the shooting was unnecessary. However, he also took into account her lack of prior criminal history and PTSD diagnosis. For AJ's family, the verdict brought a measure of relief but not closure. Her mother and supporters said no sentence could replace a daughter, mother, and friend who was taken too soon. The case reignited national debates around racial bias, neighborhood disputes, and stand your ground laws, questioning whether these laws are applied equally to everyone. In the aftermath, AJ's family launched advocacy efforts, including the Standing in the Gap initiative, a fund to help other families affected by racial violence. Her children, who witnessed parts of the tragedy, continue to cope with trauma and loss, supported by their extended family and community.
It was our mother who encouraged us to keep dancing. And so we just want her to know that we think about her day in and day out.
Sunday marks 1 year after Owens was fatally shot by her neighbor through a locked metal door. The community rallied together during a celebration of life ceremony near Emerge Church of Ocala and released balloons to honor her memory.
It is an outlet for them to mourn their pain and celebrate what life has to offer, the joyness that their mother would want them to continue to live in.
While the family is unsure what lies ahead in the upcoming trial of their mother's alleged killer, Susan Lorincz, Owens' kids say the celebration will show their mother's legacy will never be forgotten.
What do you want people to know about your mom when we do this story?
I just want them to just keep giving justice and stand up for what's right.
I wanted them to know that she was always with us. She never went back on us.
In the years since, AJ's story has been featured in documentaries, including The Perfect Neighbor, which explores the events through police body cam footage, 911 calls, and community interviews. In 2025, Lorincz spoke from prison in a televised interview, expressing remorse but still claiming she felt threatened that day. The case remains a painful reminder of how quickly fear, bias, and anger can turn deadly, and how a mother's demand for respect and safety for her children ended in tragedy. This is the story of Ajike AJ Owens, a mother remembered not just for how she died, but for how she lived, protecting her children, standing her ground, and sparking a conversation that continues today. This is True Crime from the Front Porch, where we talk about real stories, real people, and the moments that change everything. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more true stories that deserve to be heard.